Good evening. Welcome to the Ignite Hub. I'm Kimberly Blackrington. I am the director here at the Ignite Hub. Wow. This is our last fireside chat for the semester, and it is a packed house. It is packed inside. It is, I believe, packed online. Hello to our online guests. I'd like to welcome all of you. This is a very special panel that we have here at the Ignite Hub with our Fireside Chat Career Series. We do like to do special features with panels. We would like to hear a variety of stories. We've tested it out. It works well. And here we are today with a full house and an amazing panel. We also had something very special here for dinner. We had the Rolling Raptor food truck, and we had bento boxes for dinner. So it was delicious. And this is also part of the Ignite Hub, right? We are always looking for ways to collaborate with internal partners, external partners. And in this case, we were able to feature the work of our students who are preparing for the hospitality industry. So that to me is just the cherry on top of the ice cream and the whipped cream and everything else. So it's really important, though. It's really part of the mission of the hub of highlighting our students as well. So thank you. This series is sponsored by Verizon, so that's why we're able to have our community meal, and we are able to have wonderful guests such as today. I'm going to briefly introduce our moderator and our panelists, and then we'll go from there. And actually, I'm going to step back, and Dr. Hernandez is going to take the mic tonight. So Dr. Shinta Hernandez is our Dean of MC Online and Academic Support here at Montgomery College. Welcome. We have Dr. Ed Cabellin, who is our Interim Senior Vice President of Student Affairs, also part of Montgomery College. Welcome. We have Master Chris Lee, who is the owner of One Kick Martial Arts here in Montgomery County. And we have Dr. Pavur Dakar, who is a CEO and founder of Ziva Consulting. Today's topic is Radical Hope, Innovation and Trailblazers in the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander community. So this is our beautiful panel that represents that community that we're highlighting this evening. So without further ado, Dr. Hernandez, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wow. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Kimberly, for that warm welcome and the amazing hospitality with our food truck, Rolling Raptor. And again, I just want to echo how wonderful it is to see so many of you here. I know there's a lot of things that any one of us could be doing tonight, and you chose to be here, and all of you on Zoom also chose to be here. So we appreciate you very, very much. And as you may know, we are celebrating Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month this month of May, all across the country. And we celebrate those who are in these communities and what they contribute to the U.S. society. And for those of us who continue to aspire to do great things in the world, when I was asked to moderate this again, I, of course, could not keep myself contained because I got so excited when I get to be in places and spaces like this, because I get to be in an environment in which people like these three amazing community members, community leaders, trailblazers, innovators are in our space. And so when we were thinking about the title of today's event, we thought about a lot of different things about what's going on in the world today, what's going on in the country, what are things that we know could resonate with our community members. And so we thought about radical hope. And you'll see that when later on today, we'll get into a question about radical hope, but hope is something that each and every one of us thinks about, has in our minds all the time. And then innovators and trailblazers. You'll see when we converse with these three panelists, how they have innovated, how they have trailblazed in their communities far and wide, and how they have continued to contribute to the American society and to their families and to themselves. And so really, without further ado, I'm really just gonna have our panelists introduce themselves to you, because I want you to hear from them who they are, what they do, and maybe even share a fun fact that you would like us to know about that we probably don't know about. And so why don't we just go down the line here, and if we can start with Master Chris Lee, please introduce yourself. Let us know your name, your position or what you do, your organization or your company, and again, a fun fact to share.
Good evening, everyone, both here in person and Zoom. My name is Chris Lee. I'm Korean, so I'd like to introduce my Korean name too. My name is Chris Changwoo Lee. Yes, that's my Korean name. Um, I'm the owner of school called One Kick Martial Arts, located in Germantown. Um, and a little bit of martial art background of me. I was the shy, lack of confidence, skinny kid back in the days. My mom put me in martial arts at age of 5, and hoping that I can get some confidence and get changed. And that truly worked. It changed my life. And fast forward many years, now in the US, I am running a martial arts school, serving, teaching over 350 students at my school, hoping I can do the same to the young generation now. Raising leaders, give them confidence, raise them in a respectful way. That's what I do as my job. Yes, people can see as, oh, he's teaching martial arts. I like to say I changed life through martial arts. Um, Fun fact about me. Um, I came here in the US 2009 when I was 22 after my military. You know, all Koreans have to serve military. So I went to Marines, and I was still doing Taekwondo back then. I didn't, Taekwondo or martial art instructor was not my dream. I didn't meant to be one, but I don't know how I'm doing it. I came to the US just a suitcase and a dream. My whole family are still in the Korea. I came by myself. I wanted to study English. I was studying English, and I went to college in Nova, the Northern Virginia Community College, and started looking for a job. I don't know, somehow I got reconnected with martial arts. So I didn't know this was going to be my career, but I am doing it, and I'm living my life right now. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear about my moderator and panelist. And I will start by thanking the Ignite Hub, the leadership, Kimberly and Eduardo, for inviting me, and the incredible community at the Ignite College in Montgomery College for this conversation. I am humbled to be here for the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And my name is Purva Darkar. I grew up in India till my PhD. I did all my education in India. I came here uh, for at the NIH National Institutes of Health for my postdoc, and for the last 15 plus years, I have been part of life science projects in life science, data science, and health tech, and have gone through different career paths and being part of biopharma consult. And very recently, I stepped out of my comfort zone of having a very stable career path and started my own company. And it's not been easy to leave your safety blanket. But what I feel is it helped me find my voice and give idea wings to my ideas. And as a part of Ziva Consulting, we provide a structure and clarity and more like go-to-market strategies for startups and smaller companies in health and technology and life sciences. We bridge the gap so that they can take the product to market, bring in sales. Again, I'm as a scientist, I was at the bench doing experiments, but at the same time, being a part of Ziva, I'm able to connect to the community, build out ecosystems, and still impact change by surveying patients because we can bring therapies and devices to patients faster. And so that's me. And a fun fact about me is I'm absolutely fond of Asian food, which is mostly Korean, Vietnamese, and me and my family, we go all out to explore all these different cuisines, but these have been the top cuisines. And very lately, I have half an hour today or 1 hour, I was on calls because I love bringing together different cultures in one room.
So I'm coordinating an international night in my kids' school, which means we are having tables exhibiting different cultures. And I really love that we are able to bring in small cultural dances as well. And it's just fun because everybody brings out the best by bringing in their own culture, and it brings more clarity to the mindset when we embrace our culture. And that's why I think every culture, American, Canadian, as well as the global culture, is important. And I can't wait for May 16, the cultural night after work, where I'll get to see the different cultures in actions. So with that note, I'll let Dr. Ed introduce himself, and I look forward to the conversation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ed Cabellin. I serve as the interim senior vice president for student affairs here at Montgomery College. It's so nice to be in community with all of you tonight. And I also want to echo my thanks and gratitude for the invitation to be part of this esteemed panel this evening. A bit of background on me. I'm a first generation Filipino American. My parents immigrated here from the Philippines in the 70s. And so if you haven't had Filipino food, I suggest that we get you on that real quick. I mean, if you're talking about Asian food, I want you to know that. And so I've worked, and so my parents immigrated here in the 70s. My father retired as a mechanical engineer. My mom stayed at home to take care of us. And so my brother actually lives here in Montgomery and Howard County. My nephew Eli is here with me tonight, and so he's hanging out with Uncle Ed. And my sister actually lives in Virginia, in Stafford. So I'm very familiar with the DMV, and I'm just really grateful to be here. So professionally, I worked in higher education administration for nearly 30 years, and this is my first opportunity to be in Maryland. I've spent most of my career in Massachusetts. My research background is in technology, student affairs technology, higher education technology. And so being in student affairs, I look at the student experience through very different lenses, thinking about how we can make equitable opportunities for students across the board through technology. And as I think about the conversation tonight around radical hope, I also understand the great responsibility I have sitting in a seat like this, working with Dr. Williams specifically here at Montgomery College. And so looking forward to the conversation tonight. A little other pieces of my background, I've published, I've books and scholarly writings in technology. And really just am grateful for, again, this opportunity. A fun fact about me is that if you search hard enough, you might find a TikTok account up with me where my nephew and I may have been doing some dances so, you know, good luck finding it. If you find it, let me know. But we have enjoyed, it's a family tradition of ours to do those TikToks. So I will pass the mic back to Dr. Fernandez.
Mr. Bellin. I see some people taking out their phones right now, trying to look that up. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Is there a prize for it? Well, thank you so much to the three of you for introducing you to us. And so as we think about the theme of tonight's event, Radical Hope, it reminds me when Master Chris said he came here with a suitcase and a dream. And as you all were introducing yourselves, I too came here with a suitcase and a dream by way of my parents. So I came from Indonesia with my parents, and they made the decision to come here with leaving everybody behind and just seeing what's going to come next in our lives, right? And so they had radical hope. And so on that note, I want to ask each of you, and it doesn't matter who goes first, I want to ask each of our panelists here, what does radical hope mean to our panelists, both personally and professionally? Who wants to get us started? Radical hope.
Radical hope. Personally, to me, radical hope means believing in transformation and your plan, even when you don't see a rapid changes. Personally, it was a strong belief that one day my sacrifice is coming to the US, being away from the family, financial struggling, and countless rejections, hard to be in a group, cultural differences. I was believing in that this will lead to something meaningful one day. Just believing in my vision to come here in the US. When I opened my school, my business in 2018 summer, I was living in my dream. Finally, I opened my business, doing what I love to do. After a year later, COVID hit. Um, we all know, right? We all had a hard time. I thought I was gonna losing all, financially, emotionally. It was a big challenge for me. I had had to make a loan to start the business, and at the time we had our first baby. My wife were pregnant, so it was just everything together, and I had to adopt and move what I can do there. Um, During that time, a lot of business closed, and I don't want it to be one of them. I wanted to make sure I have a, you know, my dream come true here. So I made my changes to teach online, as most of school did. I checked in every student and tried to make change. It's not about blind optimism, but it was choosing to believe what you are really building, matters, even when it feels like the world is against you. Um, and I made a change and I survived. Professionally, um, radical hope, it's what I carry into my class every day. I see each child not only learning punching kicks, but I see a bright future from those kids. The belief that we can raise a strong, respectful, resilient individuals that I teach in the class is what I can say is a radical hope for me right now in the professional side. Thank you.
That's deep and beautiful. The personal story is also very touching, and carrying forward on that note, for me, radical hope means uncertainty to clarity. If you start to see that we all have dreams to get some degree and go into the workforce, but not every time a degree does not mean the final career path. So there is a lot of self discovery that comes with, and there are changes. So there is no fixed roadmap to success, and there is no clear career path. That if you ask someone, why did I do my PhD? Why did I get my MBA? But there was something inside me that was searching. And I don't think I'm still there yet because the journey is fun. I'm learning along the way. But for me, radical hope means going against the tide, sometimes being very uncomfortable, taking chances, and still trusting and believing in yourself, believing in the people you have built along the way. It's very, very important to build trusted relationships. And it does not matter if they are your peers or your supervisors or if they're your friends or a friend's kid. It's beyond relationships. I mean, it's beyond the network that you directly see, but it's very important to provide support and get support. So my journey from India and to on the eastern coast of US where I'm right now, I think it has been uncomfortable. It has been very unstructured, but I think very satisfying. So, radical hope is also to get that satisfaction at the end of the day, getting up every day and as being very content with the decision that I made to start my own company and being very content with the relationships and the people I can impact and the people who can impact me. So when I started my company, there were a lot of voices that asked, like, why are you starting your company? Why the strategy consulting firm? But being a woman of color, it becomes harder. But having that voice and confidence and being still uncomfortable and finding clarity along the way keeps you just have to keep going on and finding your tribe, your people. So along the way I did find people, I left some people, I find new mentors, I mentored some, and that I think is a big deal. F- and that is hopeful because if you find light at the end of the tunnel, it is hope, but the light will keep moving. There will be nothing constant, the world keeps moving, and beyond that I think we all have that one something to hold on to. Is that is the radical hope, I would say. Thank you.
I don't know how I follow that, but okay. I'm gonna give it my best here. So radical hope for me is around, I think personally, it is reflected in what I believe is my responsibility, given what my parents did to elect to come here to create a better life for themselves. And as a firstborn Asian male, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And radical hope means for me that I know deep down that no matter what life throws at me and my family, that I can handle it, that I will be okay. And that took a long time for me to get to. That hope sometimes dims in challenging times as life throws what it has at you. And so for me, it's deeply personal radical hope because I think about the sacrifices that my parents made and trying to mirror that in my day-to-day job professionally as a leader, as someone with great responsibility for a lot of people. I think every day about how I show up and how I have to in this role present in a way that inspires people to keep going even when it's hard. And, for me, it's grounded in community. It's grounded in belonging. It's one of our strategic goals at the college, interestingly, creating that inclusive culture. Because leadership for me is a communal act. It's one that's done with and not for others. And so that's important to me. And I draw deep meaning from cultivating spaces like this one, where people can feel seen, valued, and empowered to imagine that bright future that we all want. So that's my own take on radical hope.
You're getting your steps in, Dr. Cabellin. Well, I appreciate the comments that our panelists just said to that question, and I want to piggyback off of what Dr. Darkar just said about uncomfortable. I think a wise person once told me, you have to feel comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want good things to happen, if you want magic to happen. And so that's a tough space to be in because if you're always wanting your comfort zone, then you might always just stay with the same things over and over again. But the change, the innovation, the taking the risk, the suitcase and a dream kind of concept happens with being uncomfortable, right? So thank you for that. And Dr. Cabellin, you had talked about leadership, and I want to piggyback off of that with this next question. So here we have, across the four of us, we have Indonesian American, Korean American, Indian American, and Filipino American. So how has your ethnic identity shaped your leadership approach and the work that you do?
Being Korean isn't just part of my background. I'm South Korean. People often ask, North or South? I'm South. Yes. It's my foundation of my leadership. Um, I was raised to respect elders as an Asian Korean, save the community, serve the community, and work without seeing applause. Humble mindset. Those values, respect, discipline, and heart, are the core of my leadership currently. At the same time, living and working in the US also has taught me to lead with empathy and adapt to different perspective and connect across cultures. There are so many different cultures here, especially, DMV area. My leadership, I can say it's a blend of Asian martial arts value and open, innovative American mindset. Today, I lead with both strength and humility. I listen, I teach, and I lift others up, especially my team. Right now, I can be here because my 5 other master's instructors are teaching in my place, um, who are walking the same path once I did. And that balance has allowed me to build a martial arts school where all my teams are thriving, learning, growing, and especially all my teams are also Asians. And we're all connected, just like families, not only an employee relationship. And we welcome every staff, students, and families. And that is what I, have a strength as a background of being Korean and Asian. And that helped me a lot to become a leader that I wanted to be. Thank
Do you want to go first? Okay. So for me, I think leadership, coming back to the question, I think I think heritage is a compass. Heritage is a compass because the values that I've imbibed since wherever I was born, which is India, are deeply personal to me, and they shape my personality. So if I'm able to use those values in my day to day rather than turning into another shiny object, and having that realization to adapt to a culture but still keep my own values and what is really important to me. So I have always learned to ask this question as time goes by: what are my core values? And finding that answer, because as we go around the sun, we have different mindset. We learn something, we drop something, but having sticking to my core values, but coming from India, and again, just like Master Lee said, I do believe we do have some similar values, some different values, being very humble and being grounded in the cultural, academic, and familial taught me to have very fluid moments between cultures and paces, develop my own perspective and build my own confidence. And in that, some way, and I'm going to piggyback on what he said, just like connecting people, building bridges has been one of my core values. And leading through building bridges across disciplines, across culture, has helped me move from one place to another faster, navigate projects in a better way. I wouldn't say always a win-win, but it has been smoother whenever I have learned to navigate and build bridges. And I think one of the values that I have really imbibed from the cultural leadership is using scarcity as a resource, because in my culture we really value scarcity, and whatever is minimal, and we survive on minimalism. So using that and not letting it go, adapting it to a point where I'm comfortable adapting, using it, and building resources based on efficiency in my business has been a game changer, because we've been able to deliver excellently, being very efficient in minimal resources. And I have some fantastic people who work in my team from where you originate from. So though I don't eat Filipino food, but those Filipino people are amazing. Again, working across time zones in with those, and using minimal, like sometimes starting with Excel as a resource, as a thing to build up rather than purchasing a software, has been a game changer. And I think cultural humility is so deep, and the more we embrace it, more we can go farther with it. That's all I will wrap.
I think for me, the how my leadership shows up in this space is really around hospitality, and how Filipinos around the world are very known for taking very good care of you. If you ever travel to the Philippines, you will notice a stark difference in how you're served and how people look to take care of you. And as I've described my leadership style to my team, often I say I'm a servant leader, and my job is there to serve them. My job is to make sure that they are okay, that they have what they need to be successful, so that I can get out of the way so they can be them, being their best self. And so growing up, it was something that my parents taught us. Anytime we hosted people at the house, anytime that I played on an organized team, or whether it was sports or whether it was through the community, we were always taught to serve others. And in leadership, I think it's even more important today to ensure that the things that you do aren't for self, but for others, and making sure that others are taken care of first and foremost before your needs are met. And so that's been ingrained in me, and it shows up every day in my work and in my personal life.
I really do think he wants to get his steps. I think. Well, and I want to echo what our panelists have said in terms of how their cultural values and their family values have shaped and influenced their leadership journey, their leadership approach, and their style. I'm sure many of you here in the audience, as well as on Zoom, can certainly relate to it, no matter what our backgrounds are. Uh, as you have already learned so far from this event, we have three very impressive prominent community leaders, right? These three continue to make a difference in our spaces with the people and the lives that they touch in their respective areas of the industries. And so I would like for them to share a pivotal moment in your journey where you felt you were trailblazing or innovating within your community and your professional field, because that is the title of our event is Innovators and Trailblazers. And that's the reason why we asked these three to be a part of this event. So Master Chris, tell us about that moment when you were trailblazing.
That sounds, greater than what I'm doing. Yeah. The pivotal moment was during the pandemic. Of course, for many small businesses out there, every martial arts school during pandemic around me was shutting down or freezing. Study says 80% of martial arts school has closed during pandemic, and yes, a lot of them we had a community that were talking to each other, and there were a lot of items on sale on market. What's going on? Everybody were closing down, and it was not easy for most of the gyms, not only martial arts school, the people can travel, right? All the restrictions that we had. Um, then I had two choices: pause and wait until this is over, or lead, change, adapt. I chose the second, lead and adapt. I created the system for students to get connected online. I remember Kylie and Mason were taking classes online through Zoom. I restructured the business overnight. I had to think, what can I do? I even visited students' house to deliver the materials so they can able to practice. Once we had a belt test through Zoom, and I had to find a way to deliver all those belts. I usually tie the belts around them, and I asked the parents, what do you want me to do? Deliver, please. So I started the Uber first, delivering the belts. Went to their house and delivering the belt certificates and seeing from across, door to door, hey, great job. You did great. Hope to see you on the mat soon. I remember those days. And that was a big moment for me to think about how am I going to serve those people? How am I going to connect have the relationship stronger as we are not really, training in person. Uh, that was a tough time, but I learned, and that was a big change for me to think about my business and to thrive. It really taught me that real leadership isn't about being in a comfort zone. It's about action when it's hard to move. And all the leaders who thrive, they do take actions when it's hard. And that's going to be a big moment for them. Now our school is one of the leadership school that actually shares to other many local martial art businesses to what to do, how to lead their classes, how to do customer service, how to do their structures and systems. Yes, it was hard, but it was a big growth to me.
Beautiful. So for me, and again, I feel humbled when that trailblazing question is put out. But again, it's I'm here to inspire and motivate others. So on that note, I think it is about filling some gaps in a system or in a process. And though I have been part of some really fantastic projects at the National Institutes of Health, which include the NIH Open Data Portal, which was very prominent during the same time, as Master Chris Lee said, during the pandemic, and the data was presented to White House. It did earn me a director's award as a part of the team. But for me, the trailblazing project, which brings me back to my uncomfortable zone to comfort or clarity, is when I took an initiative at the University of Delaware during my MBA for initiating a business conference at the business school. So I was always traveling from the DC area, which is Rockwell, to Delaware once a week with a 2-year-old here coming back and going outside and looking at the gap in the system. And the school needed some ways to connect the student community and the Delaware State and the college and the the professors and the teaching community. So I worked with some other leaders, and we got uh, funding from the business school and implemented the first business conference, which was fantastic to see something happen from where there was nothing and only ideas. And it did take a year to implement it, but it was something new initiated. And when I go back to look at what I was able to accomplish, commuting every week from the DC area back and inspiring my team to build something and working with the stakeholders from the college, and it continued for a few years, and I think they still have the but this whole thing and the whole win gave me a lot of confidence to go out and build Ziva, because at Ziva we have a gap. We are addressing a gap in equity and public health and connecting the dots to serve founders, especially non-traditional founders who do not have access to funding. So we work with them so that they can get funding as non-dilutive funding to work through their idea, which is a scientific or tech idea to start their business. We work with them to do market research and position their company in a state of wins. And they come back, and when I read their text messages, because a lot of founders, we work with them around the clock, they are connected with us on text messages. I'm humbled to see their feelings on how we are able to impact their growth and their journey. And this, I think I'm able to connect because I was able to go out of the zone. But this is a trailblazing moment for me, and I can always look at that one example, one point in time, which lasted almost few months, to drive me through the change, to keep being an example for others.
Thank you. So I think sitting in this seat as a vice president, reporting into a president at a college or university, there aren't many Asian American vice presidents or presidents in higher education. So on one level, I say that's one trailblazing opportunity that I feel like I'm contributing to. That in fact, when I loved college so much, I never wanted to leave. And I'm still in college, which is great, right? But I think about when this question was posed to us, to think about. For me, as I reflect back on my career, the pivotal trailblazing or innovative moment for me was stepping my feet onto Montgomery College's campus in August last year as its interim senior vice president. Interim, for those of you who aren't aware, means temporary. It means that I had a 1-year contract to be here at the college while the college is going through some transitions. Nothing promised after this year. And so my wife, and my daughters, who live in Massachusetts still, because I'm from Massachusetts, we live in Massachusetts. One's in college and one's a junior in high school. We weren't ready to pick up and move. So my brother and again, this is why the community and family is so important. My brother and my sister-in-law and my nephew welcomed me into their home in Laurel for the year, where I would live with them and then fly home on weekends to be with my family. Now, some would look at me and go, Dr. Cabellon, you're going to do what? You're going to work and then fly back and forth? Yep. And I'm doing it because of the tremendous opportunity that was presented to me here at Montgomery College. And there's not many people who are going to roll the dice to say, sure, for a year, let's try it out, right? But I can tell you that decision has paid off for me because I've now gained such a wonderful community at MC. And as I prepare to move on to my next role at Frederick Community College in June as its next interim vice president for student affairs up there, I get to still stay in Maryland. I still get to expand my network and learn and grow in leadership roles where I know I can contribute. And so when I think about trailblazing and thinking about doing things differently, making the decision to be a super commuter, as what I think research would say, and building up my frequent flyer miles quite a bit, I got to tell you, And really it's because of mission, it's because of community and my deep belief in this community and its bright future ahead.
These are such amazing stories, and I don't know about any of you, but I'm certainly feeling so inspired, and that's the purpose of an event like this, is to hear these personal and professional stories, and to say wow, and to say, oh, I want to do that too. And so I appreciate all that you have shared, the three of you. And I have to say, so Master Chris just gave a shout out to my kids when he spoke. So if I could get a recording of this event, that would be great to show them. But I am just so humbled in being in this space of great humility, where you have three people who obviously have impacted many, many people, many communities, and will continue to do so. And yet their humbleness is shining through. So thank you so much for your service to all of our communities in the many ways that you serve. And the three of you each alluded to the challenges that you have faced throughout your professional journey, but if you could speak a little bit more to challenges that, as you were advancing within your industry, as you were rising up in the ranks or deciding on what you wanted to do next, tell us about some of those challenges, and then how did you overcome them? Because I'm sure a lot of us in this room and on Zoom have challenges that we face day in and day out. We would love to hear, how could we overcome ours?
Yeah, a lot of challenges. I believe not only that I go through, but a lot of students here who's from, internationally from outside the U.S. And that's how I came to the U.S. too. I came here as an F1 student, international student to study. One of the biggest challenges was that my life is starting over in the U.S. I had no families here, no supporting system, financially tough, no friends, no cousin, no one. I had to make my own friends again, right? Just hustle and faith that I had. That the day that I came to the U.S. Wow, it's the U.S. Now what, right? I know my mom and dad supported me, but I have to really stand up by myself. I also did not speak English that well, and still now. And culturally, I felt invisible at times. When my dad and mom, calls, hey, we're celebrating Lunar New Year, but here it was not. It was just a regular day, right? Um, I'm sure a lot of cultural differences that you felt here in the U.S. And I overcame those obstacles by staying rooted with a clear vision that I had and seeking guidance from the mentors and remaining grounded in my purpose. I think finding a right people is very important to overcome those. As I said, I knew no one. I had no friends. I had no cousins, but I tried to stick with the ones that I thought I can trust them. And also, martial art has taught me counterattacks. You know all about counterattacks. When someone tries to attack you, you're dodging and attacking back. That was a strategy that I had. When there's a challenges, I am not gonna get punched or kicked and get knocked out. I'm gonna dodge it, and I'm gonna come back stronger. Yes, there are a lot of financial statuses, like hardships, your friendship. Sometimes you feel like, oh, that was my friend, only friend, but then they left. It can happen. It's a life, but you should not give up there. You have to come back strong. I studied as much as possible. When I had a job, I show up at the job like 30 minutes earlier than other people, and I stayed up at the work to be the last person to make sure I hustle and I learn from it. And I try to set good example for the others too. That's what I had. That's where my root was at. And when people said, I don't know, Chris, that's not how America is. You clock out, you go home, right? I said, no. I mean, this is how I do. I want to finish my job. I wanted to have my responsibility. That's what I think. It's also strong, culture differences too. That's how I learned from my dad. Most importantly, I tried to build the circles around me. Once I thought there was the right people, and I tried to stick with them. I connected with them, and I was a shy one, but once I knew that there was someone that I can learn from, I always follow them and learn from them, and have a mentorship always, and appreciate their help. Building a strong team, finding your mentor is one thing that I can strongly say that has helped me to overcome all those challenges. So don't stay there and get hit at, get punched and kicked, counter and attack. Okay.
Beautiful. And there are so many overlaps I see here from Dr. Master Chris's examples of cultural stories and missing festivals and feeling alone and building something from grounds up. And so, on that note, I do feel I have a different perspective to share. Like many women of color in science and strategy, I felt a bit left out. I had to navigate skepticism, exclusion, and invisibility. I sat in rooms where my voice wasn't heard, on tables where I did not have a seat. And then what did I choose? I chose to build my own seat and find my own set of people, my networks, because being rejected or not getting something is not my way. I cannot get aggressive or sad or upset, but I have to think again outside the box and get uncomfortable and prove myself. No, I don't need to prove myself again and again, but then I resorted to anchoring in my outcomes, delivering, look at the data, deliver excellence. And then when you deliver fantastic work, great quality, you get acceptance from the right set of people, then you build up, you build mentoring networks, you give back, bring, learn, you give back. I let that happen. I have mentored countless number of people, from undergrads to grads to postdocs to going through transition, and people even now I mentor a lot of people who are out of there because of the RIF and federal workforce. So I think you have to give back all the time. There is no time when you cannot give back. And you have to lean on. I have learned to, during those challenges, lean on people and family and support systems and find answers, because challenges last for some time, but then there is always radical hope that shows up in ways which you did not expect. I've also seen that creating, as Dr. Ed said, cultivating safe spaces and cultivating spaces where you can build up is very important. The community and ecosystem piece is huge. You have to do for others and build up people and do it for the community, because if I started looking at just what I wanted to achieve for myself, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. When I was in Association for Women in Science, I was the president of a Bethesda chapter for 3 years while I was navigating my transition after my MBA. But then building up a lot of programs for the Bethesda chapter right here in the Montgomery County. I was at the college as well a few times, and making connections and creating new programming also helped me look at finding my voice through the challenging times. And I do believe in the, again, giving back as a mentor. And it's so good to see different age groups of people here in this room, people who are in elementary, kids who are in elementary school to high school. So I think it's also very important through these challenges to learn from different set of people and younger leaders who are building up a new culture. I learn a lot even from my daughter. My daughter is attending the talk here. She is here, and she leads in her own way with her own voice. But that also makes me learn, because I still think I'm still learning about the culture. I came here 15 years ago, and going through those challenges is a lesson learned every single time. Thank you.
Ditto. Yes. So when I was growing up, my father instilled in me this work ethic that was expected of me. That as a son of an immigrant, I would have to work twice as hard to be seen, to be accepted, and to be taken seriously. I often felt that model minority myth and expectations sit in when I was in large rooms, trying to be seen and heard in ways that others were just automatically getting because of their status, their color, their whatever. And so I often felt pressure when I started early in my career. I kept my head down and I just did the work. I worked as hard as I could and moved forward. And you didn't want to rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. Just do your job and, take care of your family. All of these things that at least I was taught growing up. Challenge is that also the outside world was also had a picture in their mind of who they saw as leaders in their own spaces and community. If you study leadership, at one point you might have studied the fact that when you think about leaders and you picture them, they're all tall, right? So physically, as an Asian, my parents were 5'2" and 4'11". There wasn't any hope for me. Okay. And so I'd walk into a room and I would be unassuming because no one would take me seriously. If they didn't know me, they would just think I'm whoever I am. But if I was tall, dark, and handsome, which are these values, right? That permeate our society. Oh, that could be a leader because that person has aura, that person has something. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying what has God blessed me with? And how am I going to use that and honor those gifts to serve others? And so what I did was what a lot of what my colleagues here have already shared. But I think the biggest breakthrough of the sort of how I started overcoming them was really around the being okay asking for help. I did not ask for help early in my career. I wanted to show I could do it and that I could do it alone, and yay for me, right? And only when I started acknowledging my shortcomings and everything else that I knew I needed help with, but was ashamed to ask because I didn't want to show weakness. I already felt from a place of deficit because of what the world was telling me at the time. And so to overcome it, I had to ask for help. And to the point around mentors, I think that's so important that we ask for help, that we get people's feedback on us. And the real overcoming, like for me, was not only asking for help, but coupling that with understanding. And some folks will know this about me already because I talk about it a lot in leadership, is knowing what your reputation is. Do you know what people think about you? And it could be true or not, but if you're in a leadership role, if you're serving others, that is an important knowledge and understanding that you need to have in order to lead effectively. And so for me, those challenges will remain, but I feel a lot more prepared because of the help that I received.
Thank you so much. And so it appears that one theme that definitely pops up in our panelists' response to that answer is people, right? It's the people around us. It's the people who we carefully choose to be around us who can help us overcome our challenges. It's our mentors. It could be our family. It could be our professional network. But it's very clear that our three panelists have suggested that people around us are important parts of our leadership growth, healthy components of who we are and who we can become. So I appreciate the inspiring comments in that space. So just a couple more questions as we wrap up the evening. So where do you see, I want to kind of circle back to the beginning of our event today and talk about hope again. What brings you the most hope? And then where do you see us as a community? Where can we progress from here on out?
Just to piggyback what you said, Dr. Sinta, the group, making a group and relationship, right? I was hearing, looking at a video, the doctor said about AI. I don't know if AI can make their friends, but we can, right? They're smart, they're fast, they're the future. I know, like a lot of stuff are changing, and but I don't know if they can make friends. They can have mentors, but we can. That's a difference, big difference. That's what I learned. I don't know if AIs are very smart. I mean, they are trained. They know a lot of stuff, but I don't know if they can train for characters too. I don't know. I know that there are a lot of news are saying they are now trained to have the empathy, but I don't think they will be like ours, right? Right. So that's a big strength that we have, and my future hope brings to our next generations. I work with the kids, a lot of kids. I often say I have 200 sons, 200 daughters. They're all my kids. Um, I've been teaching martial arts in the U.S. since 2009. It's been 16 years. Yeah, a couple of days ago, one of my students reached me out. Hey, Master Chris, I'm getting married. What? You're getting married? No way. No, you're not. I remember the little kid that was making a joke with me. I was teaching his classes, but getting a call. I'm sure there are a lot of teachers over here getting a call, getting connected with the old students. Time flies. And those kids are my next hope. When I see the kids at my school standing tall, being respectful, helping others, um, that gives me hope. Not just growing physically, but emotionally and mentally. That gives me a hope, and that's a purpose of my life and my career. For me, as an opportunity to grow and a progress, we need more spaces like this where we lift each other's, where cultures are meeting and helping each other's. I think there needs to be more places just like this, where a lot of staff here are trying to raise, lift others up and building that connection so we can help each other. Um, and just like tonight, so I really appreciate all the work that you've been, working, putting into it here. Thank you.
Thank you. For me, the next wave of change makers, we are, and the new technology, as been pointed out, AI is a technology. What brings me hope and radical hope is the way technology is being implemented for healthcare and health tech, where we work with those people. So looking at where the technology and the AI can impact people's lives to bring AI agents and softwares that can make the process efficient, faster, solutions to people faster. And in that, if we are bridging the gap, we are building out a community is a big hope. Seeing that gap which we can fill with what we know, with our knowledge and with our just being us is hopeful. And even though I know there's so many things changing in today's age, but knowing that you can bring in your culture and your identity to still create that change, and the impact is seen from all these examples and stories we have heard, the impact does happen. If you keep consistent and you believe in yourself and you keep going and you keep doing, though the results are not immediate, the impact is possible. So looking at that hope, I'm so hopeful that if we keep going in this rhythm, not getting affected by things that are beyond our control, we can control what we can control and what we can do, and keep instilling that positivity. I think a lot can happen, and we still have the power. If we don't feel we have to feel empowered, but what we can do, in short. And I think there is a next wave of change makers. I see the next generation who is in college, middle school, high school, kindergarten. They are the change makers, and they are few generations. We are few generations ahead of them, and they're not just one generation behind us. There's so many generations, so we have to adapt to that change. It's going to be hard, but again, we have to be hopeful and go with the tide, because there's a lot of new talent and change makers coming in. So that is a big hope to me, because I know my future is resting in some good hands.
I also have hope in the future of our leadership, and thinking about why I continue to work in higher education, because I'm surrounded by hope every day. I see it in our students. If you haven't been to a commencement, you should go. It is the culmination of why we do what we do and seeing those students cross the stage and trailblazing their own way forward, right? I think that there's so much opportunities in this next generation, given what we've learned, during our time of leaders. I hope that more AAPI leaders step out, into the light and take risks and be leaders in their communities. And what I mean by that is not a position. It is owning what gifts and talents you have and leading from where you are. And if all of us did that, I know the impact that would happen if we did that. We often wait for permission. Can I do this? When often it's let's do it together. If we do that, then imagine what could happen. And so I'm deeply hopeful and know that this intersectionality of culture and all different types of attributes that come to us, given how diverse our communities are, I know that we can move forward in the things that are ahead. So.
When the three of you were talking about hope, what brings you the most hope, it made me think about my own answer. And it really resonates with a lot of what you said. So my late father, Dr. Quellen, you were just saying that your father instilled some values in you. So my late father always said to me growing up, do better than your best. You know how people have said to us, do your best, be your best, right? And you think the word best means, okay, that's at the very top and then that's it. But my father always told me, do better than your best. As a kid growing up, you're thinking, how is that even grammatically appropriate? How can you be better than something that's already labeled as the top? And so what he meant was, once you've reached your goal, that is your best, you move the needle again, and then again, and then again. And that is where hope comes in, because you continue to dream, you continue to hope, but you also continue to do things that will help you get there. So our three panelists have really talked about mentorships or mentoring and relationships, community building, connections, people. And all of these people we all have those people. We have to know how to leverage them so that we know where we want to go next. And especially for those of us who have aspirations to do X, Y, Z, whatever they may be, talk to the people who are in your professional and personal networks, because one never knows what they know or who they know. And sometimes timing is just so appropriate that you didn't even realize it. And then all of a sudden, an opportunity is there for you. So I appreciate the response about hope that our panelists have just said. And I want to wrap us up with one more question for our panelists, and that is this. If you could give one message to your younger self, what would it be? And this is not implying that any of us are no longer young, because we are all still very young. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Well, I used to joke with my friends. What do I say? I don't know if this. I tell, let's go buy some apple. But that's what I joke with my friends. But I am 38. I'm 38. I'm very young. I still can kick. I still jump and spin. I wish I come into my uniform. I can kick some. But I'll say be patient. When I was young, I was always in a rush. Like next year, I'm gonna be what? Like 39. Next year, I'm gonna be 25. Next year, I'm gonna be 29. I have to do something. I have to create the result right now. But be patient. And keep believing, and be coachable. Sometimes when you are young, you're just closed into your own ideas and not to listen. It's hard to listen because you're so young, you're so ambitious, and I was like that too. I think that was a big moment for me, that I start to listen, find mentors, and listen to them, and ask help, ask questions. Was a big change that I start to see different world, being coachable. Your journey may not look like others, but it's yours, and every step matters. Doesn't matter how fast you're running, walking, skipping, but you're still moving forward. Um, this morning, I saw a video of someone delivering a message. No one wins the World Series or the Super Bowl by accident. Champions are made through a series of small, consistent, intentional acts. It is true, very true. Even when no one's watching, those early mornings, late nights, hard losses, and quiet efforts, they all add up. You might not see the result right away, but if you keep showing up with heart and purpose, those efforts will all compound. One day, you'll look back and realize the hard times, the doubt that you had, even the failures were all shaping you into the leader that you always, meant to be. Um, and I truly believe in this. Like I often talk to my students that the day that you came to class, doing all that exercise that you put it into a day, it takes about 4 years to become a black belt at our school. And every black belt test, I tell them, look how far you've come. Look around you. I remember you started as a white belt, don't know how to kick, don't know how to do your move, but now you're jumping and flying to test for a black belt. And those small days count, late nights count. And one day you will see without noticing, oh, how far you've come. So I would like to say, stay patient, be patient, and keep believing and open for learning, be coachable. Yep.
That's very deep and beautiful. I don't think I have a quote like that, but but what I really can connect from your thought is going slow is important. When I was young, that was not in my thoughts and notes, but I think I went. I still go too fast, a lot of multitasking, but sometimes I would say to myself to rest, to take a break, and it's an important part of learning, and growth happens in the time when you slow down and think and ponder, but a younger self of me would never do that. And to my younger self and anyone out here trying to build it out or figure it out, I would say that you are not too much, you're not too early, you're not behind, you're just where you're meant to be. I say that all to my daughter, and I want to give her a choice of what she can do and what she cannot do, even when she's at the time when she's performing. But because when I saw Simone Biles returning back from her Olympics, had a big impact on me. I felt very sad to see her going through what she went through. So as an athlete, I would always have this. And saying that, I instill that to my younger self, which I cannot be, that we always have a choice which way to go. And it's okay to quit even at a moment where you think you cannot quit, because you have to take care of your mental health and your physical health both. And in that, I also want to say that the difference that we are making is cumulative. So if you're going from day to day and taking rest, I would say myself to take that rest, keep going, keep consistent, take breaks wherever I want, and then still stay curious. Learn. I think we are all ready to learn all the time. Human mind is so curious and so sharp, and building slow is so important. But consistent, slow growth is super important, and fast growth that kind of breaks us. So I tell that to myself. Rest often goes slow, and the most important thing is we don't need a map. There is no map that can always work out. So I have to build out my own map. I have to build out my own seat at the table. I may have to build out a table, maybe a room, maybe a house, but I'm ready to do it. So there is no map needed. You can make your own map. I would tell that to myself. And when it feels hard, remember your leadership is not an accident. It is inherited. It is built. It is necessary. And that it is already making a difference every day you show up and you are present. I would just wrap up with that.
Okay, how do I do this? Okay. Three quotes I'll quickly share to my younger self. First is by Mark Twain. If we were to talk more than we were to listen, we would have two mouths and one ear. That would remind my younger self that it's important to listen and to be present with people. Um, The second quote was made famous by Ted Lasso in terms of, well, I think it was Emerson who said, stay curious, not judgmental. So your curiosity comment definitely rang true for me. And if we ask good questions, we often can lead to better understanding. So in times where we feel we want to say, but, reverse it and ask a question. And the last quote is really around the fact that our life is the sum of our choices. So let's choose well.
Thank you. And before I wrap this up and hand this back over to Kimberly, gosh, where to begin with those profound sentiments and profound advice and suggestions? Be coachable, build your own map, stay curious, and so many more. So I want to first of all say thank you to Kimberly and the Ignite Hub at Montgomery College for having an event like this where we can continue to lift each other up, especially during Heritage Month, but most certainly every day of the year. And an honor to be the moderator for this event again. So thank you, Dr. Gabellin, Dr. Darkar, Master Chris, for your time and energy, expertise, and experience that you've shared with us tonight. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you so, so much. This is the part that I love about the Hub. We can have panels, we get real, authentic voices, and hopefully to inspire our community. That's what we're here for. And what resonated the most with me is about the belonging. And that is exactly what the Ignite Hub is about. We're about belonging, we build community, and we continue to grow. So that's one of the many things that I heard that resonated. We actually have time for a few questions, which also makes this experience together very rich. Our guests here have amazing questions as well. So I'm going to hand this to Eduardo because he's also our mic runner. But if you have a question online, put it in the chat. And if you're here, just raise your hand and Eduardo will bring the mic to you.
I hear all of you say about the culture, and then how about the language, and then how you can heritage that language from your parent to you and then to your kid. Because I have problem with that.
Wow. Anyone?
I can go. So I did grow up in India, so I speak two languages from India, Marathi and Hindi. And of course, I grew up in an English medium school because of the British education system. There is English medium schools, which are very popular, and everybody has to learn English to get to a certain education level. So my English, and I was in a convent, English was good. But I come here, and my daughter just left because she has to go to school. But so me and my husband, because we both talk Marathi, which is language speaking in one part of India, we both have always wanted her to speak that language, but it is hard because since she was 4 months old, she was in a daycare. So we would drop her at 9 or 8:30 and pick her up by 5. So where will a baby start learning? But we kept consistent. Again, the consistency is so important. And at time we literally had tears in eyes because she would always come and talk in English, come and talk in English. But we both kept talking. We kept, and my parents would talk to her in English to connect, which is great. And her cousins here would always, none of them would talk in Marathi. But I would give you an example of people who are first generation and talk our language to make her see that they're people, it's important. And I did give her some cultural lessons, just giving an example to a point after, and I did make trips to India, but they were like a month or long trip. We come back and she suddenly, during the pandemic, she was home through first and second grade. She just picked up our language and it was so giving. Now she can even act in that language. She talks it so well. And she has also picked up Hindi, which I know she will fight back for a bit, but we don't press her. There is no pressure. Again, there's an option. but I know she will talk because she's on stage. She was on stage this weekend as well. She talks. She can act in Marathi. She can act in Hindi. So, I mean, they're shorter, smaller, but she can do it. She has done poem recitations, which I have not done in Marathi because I did not grow up in that city. So I'm amazed at her level. Which, and again, she has choices. She can step back. So we let her take easy. But believe me, it is very difficult and hard. So if any kid does not speak, I would not be hard on that kid. And if she gives it up sometime, I will be okay with accepting whatever she has. I just have one data point here.
So everyone was talking about how they're like from their place of origin and they came to America. But what kind of practical or motivational advice would you give to someone who, despite challenges and objections from like family or other people, what advice would you give for like someone who wants to move abroad, like, and possibly have that suitcase and a dream by themselves? So
Um, well, I would say like once you are clear with your vision and a goal, it makes it a little easier to make choices. Um, I don't know if you know the term of ikigai. It's a Japanese term of finding a purpose of your life. And one I didn't know back then, but I didn't know what my purpose of my life was. Even though I was working hard, sometimes I feel like it's empty at the end of the day. But once I go through those and finding my purpose of my life, not just I do this because of money. I don't do this because of, just for a job. Doing martial arts, teaching kids became my purpose of my life. So I enjoy doing it. I never get burned out from it. And once as a younger generations, not just because looking at, oh, US is a place to grow, not just looking at it. Once you have a better vision, I think we'll make clear decision to have a motivation to move and work hard through all the hardships that you have without being give up in the middle. There definitely will be challenges, a lot of challenges. But once you have a clear vision and a goal, will help you to go through all this, things that will come to you. One of the things that I learned that I don't surf, but the surfer said there are a lot of waves will be coming to your life, but you have to find the right wave. So you have to wait sometimes. Sometimes you just have to let go. Sometimes you have to overcome the challenges. But I believe that everybody will have their right time to thrive. So don't give up. Have a clear vision and a goal. Wait for your time, but hang there. Stay tight.
But that is why it's so beautiful. Having clarity is so important every step of the way. And whatever Master Chris has said is spot on. But also having a set of people to lean on and knowing whom you can depend on, ask. It's okay to ask because coming to a new country with a suitcase and dreams is very hard. And acknowledging it is hard. Say it out. And my lifetime is going to be hard because my parents, my mother just passed away 6 months ago, but everything is going to be hard. My aunt passed away last night. It is going to be hard. So you have to accept that hard. And even the first generation is going to be hard because there are these questions asked. So embracing that hard and reaching out to people, leaning out and finding your set of people to ask for help is totally fine. I would totally do that.
So you specifically talked about the importance of like reputation in leadership and knowing and acknowledging how people view you. And specifically, I think this past year, that's something I struggled with, or at least like I felt the burden of the way people viewed me. How do you navigate that, that, being okay with like how people view you, whether it's a good or a bad way?
It's a good question, and what I would offer is that there's a level of vulnerability that you're going to have to enter in order to be able to ask people pointed questions about the things that you either may have heard from someone else or that you are perceiving based on your interactions with them and not understanding why. I would start first with friends and family that you trust that would give you honest answers around things that you might perceive about your own reputation. Being self-aware is part of developing and growing and maturing as an adult. I'm still working on it, and I think most of us are, and while we think we're self-aware, everyone has blind spots, the things that others see, but we don't because of whatever perspective we carry with us. I think it's important to give yourself some grace that even though others may have this view of you, that's okay. And if you listen to Mel Robbins or read Mel Robbins stuff, the whole let them theory, let them, that's okay. And if that is how they perceive you, it often comes from, I think the research would say that there's unmet expectations from the other side, and it's being projected onto you on whatever that interaction or expectation was. And so what I try and tell folks in leadership is be clear about what your expectations are with the people that you get to work with and you get to lead, and ask questions about what they expect. I'll give you an example. This week, I have to give performance evaluations to my staff. And I'm going to ask them the same questions that the college asks in terms of the standard evaluation, because I want to know how they think of me too. I give them the chance to say, Dr. Cabellon, that one time you did this, please don't do that again. Here's what, and I welcome that. So I think it's going to take time. It's going to take patience. But when you can get that clarity, it's transformative. So I think it's worth the risk of feeling a certain way for a minute, knowing on the other side of that, I think you said it well, you got to pick your hard. Are you going to pick the hard that is not knowing and just having your head tell you what you think, what it might be, or going to the source to say, I need help understanding why I think you think of me this way? And it's really, it's hard, but I've seen folks do it. And again, start with people that you know to practice and get some insight and then move from there. I don't know if that's helpful. So, well, oh, yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Wonderful questions, everyone. Thank you. We are right at time at 8 o'clock. So let's give it up again for our panelists, our moderators. It's a wonderful evening. I would like to invite our guests to please fill out our evaluation of the session. We have a QR code, and in the chat, there's a link, and I'm practicing making sure that people have this awareness to, we want your feedback. And I say this every time, but we really, really do look at your feedback. We design panels like this based on feedback. It's very short. Please fill it out. While you all are doing that, we have some gifts, some hub swag for our, okay. All right, Water. Great. Okay, I have these secretly labeled so I can know who does it go to. But this is a thank you from the Ignite Hub, just as Dr. Hernandez said to our guests, you all chose, you chose to be here tonight, right? But also our guests made time, our panelists made time to be here as well. So we want to thank you for that. All of our panelists here that come to the Ignite Hub are volunteers. They are volunteering their time. And so this is just a small token of appreciation with some Ignite Hub swag. Thank you. We hope to see you again. I see our guests intently filling out our feedback form, so thank you for that. Maybe, Anthony, if we can bring up our slides of what's coming up at the Hub. So this time of year is May, obviously. We have our last Fireside chat, which is this evening. We have our last Future of Tech Lunch and Learn in 2 weeks, talking about bias in insurance, which is a very interesting topic. We also have our career coaching and career workshop that's coming up at ECEC as well. And what there's more. Oh, we have some showcase. So this is a time of year where we partner with other collaborators in the college. We have the digital storytelling interns doing their showcase. We have the Paul Peck Humanities Institute interns showcasing their experience with their internship as well. And then with that, we are going to glide into Montgomery King Code Summer Camp. I'm so excited about that. We have seats for 920 MCPS middle school students. We're going to be at all of our Montgomery College locations, including a virtual camp. Registration is open. So that's what the Hub team, along with our collaborators and MCPS and others, Apple, will be doing over the summer. So you won't see too much Hub programming happening because we'll be focused on that camp and making sure that we were talking about the future. Our future comes here to the college. They come to all of our locations and they have a wonderful coding camp experience. So that's what we'll be doing over the summer. But stay tuned. We already have our fall schedule together. We have some, again, boot camps that we're putting together, and of course, our guest speaker series as well. And our brand accelerator is coming back, a 6-week course for entrepreneurs. So all of that to say, Anthony's going to pull it up. Make sure you're signed up on our newsletter because that is the best way to get updates about what we're doing and stay in the loop. So with that, it looks like our feedback has been collected. Again, thank you to our panelists and our moderators for being here tonight, being inspirational and sharing your stories. You probably heard it's thundering and lightning, so please drive safely on your way home. So with that, thank you, good night, and our panelists, I'm sure, will stick around a little bit if you have some individual questions. So thank you, thank you, thank you.